Recently, I walked into a shop feeling like a genius. Pointed at the safe pick, paid the dumb price, walked out like I just beat the system, then I got to the range, and it started slipping. Not a clean malfunction. Worse, little stuff. A weird hesitation. A reset that felt different once the timer started yelling. I ran dirty mags, mixed ammo, no warm-up, because that's real life, and I caught myself making excuses mid-string. Jaw tight. Grip tighter. Faster pace, like I could bully it into behaving. That's when my buddy goes, "That's what you paid for." Loud. Heads turned. Guy 2 lanes over did that little smirk, like he'd seen it before. I didn't even look up. Just kept sending rounds, trying to force it to make me right. And here's the part that matters. Half the pistols in this ranking I wouldn't have touched a year ago. This isn't best pistol. This is what holds up when you stop babying it, and one of these smart buys makes the popular safe choice look stupid for the money. And I still don't fully trust it. Early 2026 at my local shop in Texas, the Ruger RXM sat on the glass like an afterthought. A year ago, I would have walked right past it without even picking it up, but the shop vibe felt off. Not busy, backtracking, same regulars from the holiday rush, kept reappearing with that tight, irritated look. One guy sets down a stack of parts bags like he's paying late fees. Optic plates, screws, trigger bits, grip junk, stuff he already bought after he bought the gun. He kept saying, "Almost there," like the words fixed it. Nobody roasted him. The clerk just nodded like he'd watched this movie all week. I picked up the RXM while he was still talking. It didn't feel flashy. It felt done. Not custom, not project. Done in the exact place that guy was trying to reach with the receipts. Later, I ran it the way those almost there guns get exposed. Dirty mags, mixed ammo, no warm-up, timer on. Grip texture stayed planted even with sweat. Reset felt clean enough that I stopped hunting for it. Brass piled up. No weird pause where your brain starts negotiating. Maybe it needs a spring, maybe it needs a trigger. Well, he was still chasing almost there. This thing already sat there, and that's what makes me uneasy. A pistol that feels that finished for the money usually hides the bill somewhere else. I kept looking for it. I still am. Sometime before spring really kicked in, I killed time at a range I don't usually go to, one of those places with a rental wall that's seen better decades. That wall looked like a graveyard. Slides chewed up. Numbers half rubbed off. Grips polished. Smooth from 1,000 nervous hands. And the S9 Gen 3 looked worse than the rest. Finish worn down, grip beat up, like it got dragged across concrete and kept getting handed out anyway. I almost skipped it on pure disrespect. Then the guy at the desk goes, "That one's been out more than anything else this month." He didn't say it like a compliment, more like, "That's the one people beat on, so I took it." And what threw me wasn't that it worked. Plenty of rentals work. What threw me was how normal it felt. No looseness, no weird rattle. No mushy, exhausted feel, like it was holding its breath. It sat steady and ran like it didn't know it was supposed to be worn out. I kept waiting for that rental gun moment, trigger changing, slide doing something stupid, anything, nothing. I walked out thinking about that ugly SAR-9 more than anything I shot that day. And what came after that looked way nicer, but it didn't make me feel nearly as calm. The first problem with the CSX E-Series is simple. If you grab it expecting just another micro, you miss it, or you hate it. It doesn't play the same plastic micro game, and that throws people off fast. Just back before summer in Austin, pricing started getting weird. I watched a guy at the counter do the micro shuffle. 3 tiny pistols lined up like he was comparing phone cases. Different brands, different slides, same damn feel, light, thin, plastic. All of them felt fine for 10 seconds. And all of them felt snappy the second you actually shot them. That's the part nobody says out loud when they sell you a tiny gun. Then, the clerk slid the Smith & Wesson CSX E-Series over like a curveball. The guy made a face like it didn't belong, like somebody just broke the rules. And then he didn't put it down. He held it longer than the others, thumb riding it, grip settling, like his brain finally stopped autopiloting. That's what got me. The CSX didn't feel like the same idea in a different wrapper. It felt like it tried to make a small gun feel more controlled instead of just smaller. Less of that sharp, cheap slap in the hand, more of that steady, pointable feel that makes you run it instead of tolerate it. Smart buy if you're sick of buying the same micro with a new logo. But yeah, first impression, easy to screw up if you expect it to act like the others. This one pisses me off because it wasn't even my first choice. I grabbed the safe gun first, the recognizable one, the one that made me feel covered. The Arex Delta Gen 2 came along like a backup. Insurance. The gun I threw in the rotation so I could tell myself I had options. Then the annoying little stuff started stacking up. Not failures, worse, friction. The main gun turned into something I managed all day. Tiny holster drama. A draw that felt just a little snaggy when I got lazy. A mag that didn't always drop like it meant it. Nothing catastrophic. Just enough to keep my brain chewing on it when I should have been done thinking. The Arex didn't do any of that. It sat on me without making me adjust. Came out clean without the extra bullshit. Controls felt straightforward. The whole gun stayed out of my way. And that's the moment it flipped. Not in some big heroic range scene. Quietly. One morning, I reached for the Arex without thinking. And it pissed me off because I knew what that meant. The backup started acting like the real one. That's a different kind of smart buy. Not the gun you planned on loving, the gun that wins because it stops costing you attention. Still, it's so low-key, I get why people ignore it. And I don't love how fast it replaced my safe choice. That feels like I'd been lying to myself for a while. I laughed when he popped the trunk and pulled out that old soft case. Like, really? That's what you brought? Out comes a Beretta PX4 Storm. The weird-looking one everybody loves to clown. The forgotten gun in the group. I started talking shit immediately. He didn't defend it, didn't explain it. He just looked at me and goes, "Shoot it before you talk." That line changed the whole mood. First shots, my brain expected snap. Instead, it felt like the recoil rolled. Softer. Like the gun spread the workout instead of throwing it back into my hand. It didn't feel cool. It felt settled. Like it wanted to stay on target and mind its business. I hated that. Because the PX4 didn't do the thing I needed it to do, which was confirm my joke. It just kept running calm and flat, like I'd been laughing at the wrong part the whole time. Then we're packing up, and he says, real casual, he's been quietly grabbing spare mags whenever he sees them. People are waking up to these. That line bothered me more than the recoil because the PX4 isn't suddenly better in 2026. It was already good. The discount existed because people laughed at the shape. And once that joke dies, the easy buy window closes. Next one, first mag made a sound I don't like. You know the sound. It doesn't leave your head. Recently at a small training day, the Canik Mete SF got shoved into my hand like an insult. No speech. Just a guy on the line saying, "Run this." One string. I almost laughed. Canik? In a class full of serious pistols? Yeah, okay. Buzzer goes. First rep. I felt it. Clean break, quick reset, and the gun came back level instead of hopping like it wanted to argue. My next rep got faster without me trying to force it. Same sight picture, less work. That's the part people hate admitting. When you stop fighting the trigger, you stop dragging shots. Then I swapped back to my main gun, and it felt like I put on wet gloves. Not broken. Just heavy in the wrong way. I started doing the same stupid thing again. Overconfirm, hesitate, chase the shot. The Mete SF didn't make me better. It made my expensive choice feel like I paid extra for friction. That's the value. Out of the box, it gave me the performance I usually watch guys buy with upgrades and excuses. I handed it back and got irritated because now I knew the truth. I wasn't protecting myself with the popular pick. I was paying for a name. And the last gun, that one didn't just beat a name. It beat the whole idea of what I thought safe money was. Mostly, I looked at the CZ P10C as a backup choice. 2026, money started arguing with me like it always does. The real pick sat there in my head, shiny and respectable, and the P10C sat there like the practical answer you grab when you're trying to be responsible. Not the dream gun, not the fun one, just fine. That was the mistake, because good enough isn't what makes this gun dangerous. The danger is the first time you shoot it and realize it doesn't feel like a compromise. The trigger breaks clean without you tiptoeing into it. The grip makes sense immediately. No weird hand gymnastics, no fighting the frame. The gun tracks like it actually wants you to go faster, and nothing about it screams cheap the way your brain expects a lower price tag to scream. And then something ugly happens. The whole list starts making sense backwards. You start looking at the premium stuff and you don't feel impressed. You feel suspicious, like, what exactly am I paying for? It's plain. It doesn't win at the counter. Nobody nods at it like you just made a power move. But on the range, it quietly makes refinements feel overpriced. That's why it sits at number 1, and it leaves me with a problem I still don't like admitting. Now I don't trust the price ladder anymore. That's the whole point of Smartest Buy, not the gun you brag about. The one that keeps you from feeling like an idiot after you actually shoot it. Every pick on this list earns its spot the same way. It gives you more trust than you paid for. Not perfect, not magic. Just honest value when the hype guns start acting precious. If you bought the obvious pick and it worked for you, fine. But if you paid extra for a name and got the same performance you could have bought cheaper, that's a different kind of pain. Drop the pistol you expected to hate, then couldn't kill, and tell me the popular one you regret. I'm Steve, and that top spot still bugs me because I keep reaching for it anyway.